Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this segment, I'm going to be getting into a very tough topic. And I say tough because a lot of people are struggling in this area. A lot of people are struggling in this area. It's somewhat by request, but not really, only because I had already anticipated or contemplated that I would be talking or speaking on this subject. It was something that was shared with me a few days ago, and I thought it was a good topic to cover because a lot of people are dealing with something very similar to what the mother in this particular show is dealing with. There's a show called Spoiled and Out of Control, and there were a couple of young ladies that were featured on the particular episode that was shared with me. They are giving their mom some serious trouble. These young women are headed down a very dangerous path. They're very high maintenance. Their mom's a single mom, and she's having financial struggles just trying to deal with them. Her attempt is to give them everything they want, despite the fact that she can't afford it, despite the fact that they are very rude. They're very inconsiderate, and they're just downright out of control. It is what it is. And so we had a viewer who posted a comment under a previous video that we just did, and they asked that we pray for their teenager because they are out of control. And so I thought that this was the best time to go ahead and just touch on this subject, since it came across my feed already, and someone in the comment section is dealing with this. No doubt many of you are dealing with this. Okay. Children in today's time are faced with a whole lot of things, a whole lot of distractions and temptations. And if they are not properly handled or dealt with, they can find themselves in a heap of trouble. Okay. And so you want to try to guide them as much as possible. But what I wanted to talk about was the fact that there are certain things that we must do as parents to safeguard our children from what can happen to them if they get too out of control. It's unfortunate that in today's time, you have young people that are teenagers. I'm going to say 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, who have such a different outlook on life than what we did. Okay? I'm going to take it even back further. In ancient times, I'm going to take it all the way back there. You had young people who were very young, but they were kings. They were rulers. They were leaders. In some cases, they had full families, taking care of full households. They weren't called teenagers and kids back then. They were able to seamlessly step into adulthood and handle their business. But this middle age group, or should I say this teen age group, where you transition from a child to a teen, from a teen to an adult, that was a created age range by certain individuals, okay, a certain group of people. And so what it does is a lot of people, they are stuck in that mode because they have been told for so long that they are still a child. Because a lot of people say that teenagers are children, right? And when they are branded as children up until they get 18, it's essentially like they're stepping from older children to adults, kind of like that. But what that did, it didn't really help. It extended their childhood. That's all it did. Because again, we had kings that were teenagers, even younger, rulers, warriors, right? young women who knew how to handle their business. But right now, what we have is a bunch of sassy mouth, out of control young people because they've been raised in a society that tells them they're still a child, but their bodies have developed into adulthood. This is why you have young girls and young men having sex and having babies, because their bodies are saying, look, I'm an adult, but you're treating me like a child. And since I am a child, I'm going to be out of control like a child because I am still under the authority of parents who I don't want to be under their authority, but I want the benefits of being under their house, under their roof, should I say. So it's a massive confusion that keeps our children in a perpetual state of youth to where they cannot grow up mentally. It's like they are mentally stuck. And so in that stuck position, they act out. They don't know how to grow up and become adults at the time that they're supposed to. Okay? And so that creates an issue for the parents. Now imagine if our children were even as mature as we were back in the day. Look at how our ancestors in the early 1900s, look at how they dressed as teenagers versus how our young people dress today. When you look at our young men back then, they had the fine outfits on. They looked like men. Our young women looked like women. They acted and behaved like men and women. But now they look like oversized children in adult bodies who think like children. Many of them wouldn't know how to take care of themselves if they were suddenly thrust into a situation that required it. Whereas you have young people back in the day, I'm just going to pick somebody that everybody's familiar with. Let's go with Half Pint on Little House on the Prairie. Look how young she was. She was a school teacher. Look at how she was able to tend to things on the farm, growing food, taking care of the livestock, tilling the ground, things that adults do, handling her business. Even on the continent of Africa, look at how our young people over there, in certain regions, they're still able to handle their business. They're still able to take care of themselves with what they have. But over here, you have a bunch of spoiled, out of control young people who don't want to listen to anyone, but neither can they contribute anything to the household. And even if you ask them to simply help with chores, do something like that, there's this mouth, this back talk, this disrespect, this out of control nature. Now, another viewer asked me recently to cover the story of these young people who have been killing their parents because they have been given instructions that they don't want to adhere to. So we have to understand, y'all, we are wrestling against some serious demonic powers that are present in people today. Not just in adults, but in children too. You have people out here children who will take your life. That people that they call children, okay? Teenagers out here killing their parents because they take away something that they want. And we don't see what's really happening. So for the person who asked for prayer, most definitely, we will continue to pray for our young people as we all try to navigate through this present world. But at the same time, there are things that we as parents must do. There are things we must do before they get to this point. First of all, train them up in the way that they should go. After that, you have to make sure that they don't have any outside influences that can deter them from that right path. Because many of them are going out here meeting their demise simply because they don't want to listen to instruction. Now we know that the Bible says that children should obey their parents, that their days may be long on the land. So that's telling you your days can be cut short because you don't listen to your parents. Your parents tell you don't hang out with this crowd. You say, no, I'm going to do what I want anyway. And so you go out there, you do what you want, you hang with this crowd. Next thing you know, you've been shot down like a dog in the streets. This is what happens when young people don't adhere to their parents. A young woman who decides that I'm going to date this guy, I don't care what you say. You go out there and you get tangled up with him. Next thing you know, he's going upside your head, abusing you, doing all kinds of things because you didn't want to listen to instruction. When your parents said, look, I have a very bad vibe about this one. He is a no-go. But you decide within yourself that you're going to do things your way. And then a short time later, you're calling your parents for help. So these are the things that are happening to our young people because they have this mindset, this out of control mindset of doing what they want to do and not adhering to their parents. This out of control nature because society tells them that they can do what they want to do, they can have what they want to have, and that you can't tell me what to do. My thing is this, if you feel like you can't do what you're told in my house, because as for me in my house, we gonna serve Yah. But when you get to the point where you can't follow the instructions or the rules of my house, then it's time for you to get a new address. And see, that is the mindset that a lot of parents don't want to have. They don't want to take that mindset. Many parents will allow their children to sit up in their house, in their presence even, and disrespect them and their order without consequence. Children coming in and out 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, staying on the phone as late as they want to, watching television as late as they want to, pretty much just running their own lives, just soaking up your heat, drinking your water, eating your food, but treating you as though you do not exist because in their minds, they are adults and they shouldn't have to listen. That's the mindset that a lot of young people have. So they're totally disrespectful and out of control. But one thing that we know for sure, if you look around in the so-called black community, because that's what I'm dealing with right now. I'm not saying that only black children are out of control, because we know that the whole world is out of control. It doesn't matter what color or race you are. But one thing that we do know is this. In the so-called black community, we are seeing the judgment that goes along with that. We are seeing the young people who are losing their lives. We are seeing the young people whose lives have been ruined and destroyed because of decisions that they made, because of going against the instruction of their parents, because having it their own way didn't work out. And so what I'm trying to say here is we have to understand that what we are dealing with is far greater than just a child who is disobedient or a child who is out of control. We are dealing with demonic interference. And if we don't understand that we've got to get a hold of this stuff, going far beyond prayer, if we don't understand this, we are going to continue to see our children lost in the house and lost in the streets. We're going to continue to see the destruction of our families if we don't get a hold of what is happening with our children. If we don't take enough care and interest in their lives, you will watch their destruction. Listen, family, I'm done with this video. I really hope that this has helped someone because I know that a lot of people, again, a lot of people are dealing with this. I had someone ask me in the comment section, well, they asked anyone to pray for them in their situation. And so we must do that. But while we are praying, faith without works is dead. We have to do our parts. We have to make sure that we are not a part of the problem, that we are not rewarding our children when they do wrong. We have to make sure that we are not the ones who are enabling them to do the things that cause them to wreak havoc in your house. In the comment section, family, leave your questions or your comments. Share and like this very important video. And with that, I am out. Be sure to ring the bell to be notified of new uploads on this channel, and also comment, share, like, and subscribe.